Hello everyone. Yesterday I did a video on my new comic book pickups for December 26th, and I did a little rant about Diamond Distributors at the end of it, and I had a quick little mention about digital comics and how I didn't feel digital comics captured the actual collecting aspect of comic books. And I received a question from a subscriber who asked me, have you ever even looked at a digital comic book? And I hadn't. I had never looked at a digital comic book. Marvel is advertising a lot of digital books right now on the cover of their books. You know, you'll buy a book and they'll say, get a free digital copy of this book. So I thought, you know what? Let me go into this with an open mind. And no one out there knows, you know, who I am basically, just basically what you see on YouTube. But I want someone to change my mind on something. I want someone to challenge the way I think and give me your reasoning for liking something and change my mind into feeling the same way you do. That's fantastic if you can. So I went to the Marvel website, and they have an area for digital comics, and I started looking at some digital comics. And I found it to be basically what I thought it would be. Very cold, very sterile. Up on your computer, they're there, you can read them, convenient. Look, I started collecting comics in the mid-70s, basically 1975, 1976, when comic books were 25 cents a cover. And like most of you out there who are my age, I'm 45, who collected comic books, you bought your books like I did. I bought my books at the neighborhood 7-Eleven, where I would go down and play pinball or buy baseball cards or football cards or whatever the season was, and I would buy comic books. Now, I purchased comic books then based on how cool the cover looked. And some of you may laugh, but I guarantee you, if you're honest with yourself, when you're 8 and 9 years old, you're buying books based on how cool the cover looks. You're not sitting there saying, you know, I want a Superman book, and you know, I'm going to get the, you know, Green Lantern or, you know, Justice League of America. I wanted the cool comics, and the books that I liked were books with war, you know, soldiers and things of that nature, and every now and then I'll see a book like that at a show, on eBay, at a comic shop, and I'll buy it because I remember how I felt when I had those books, and it brings back a real good memory. You won't get that with digital. Here's a good example. This is a book called Blitzkrieg. It's beat to hell. But when I saw this at the comic shop, I had to buy it because I remember this book as a kid and lived in an apartment, and there was a neighbor who was in college, and he would read me the comic, and he would use like a German accent when he's reading it, because if you don't know about Blitzkrieg, it's World War II seen through the eyes of the Germans. So he would use this, you know, German accent as he'd read these books, and it's a good memory for me. And when I see the books, it's a good memory. And I can go back and remember that time, you know, a simpler time. Looking at the digital comic book, there is no way in the world I would be able to get that type of feeling again just looking at something on the computer, because to me it's just sterile. It takes the collecting out of the collecting. Having the book in your hand, holding the book, remembering what you were doing when you bought the book, you know, I'm sure that when I bought this book originally, when I was a kid, I had the comic book in one hand and a Slurpee in the other, because Slurpee cups were, you know, 25 cents for a Slurpee back then. And yes, I do look for the 70s Slurpee cups, whether it be the football cups or the baseball cups, or they have the superhero cups, you know, Black Panther and Dr. Doom and all that. And I buy that stuff because, you know, I'm a kid of the 70s. I remember the cartoons, playing Little League Baseball, and good memories, and having a piece of that memory in your hand allows you to enjoy a moment in your life that you want to remember. I want to remember good things like that. A digital comic book wouldn't allow me to do that. Looking on the computer wouldn't be the same. So after reading some digital comics online, I think I read like 6 or 7 of them just to get a feel for it. I found it to be stale, boring, and my overall feeling on the subject and the topic is this. If you go to a digital format and the comic book companies decide to go to a digital format, I believe that they will have a large consumer base still. But I also believe that a lot of the hardcore collectors, a lot of the old school collectors, like myself, will stop collecting the new books altogether and just concentrate on the older books, which means the older books are going to dry up. It's a hit and miss. I mean, Marvel or DC or any of the books, companies that want to go digital are going to save money because it's cheaper to digitalize books than to make sure they're getting printed and sent out to the distributors and the publishers. But I think it takes away from the actual collector base. So I know I rambled on about this stuff. I tried it, digital, didn't like it, never going to do it again. Keep it real, collectors, keep it real in your hand. Again, it's a beat up book that I would never give it a second thought about putting in my collection because I wouldn't buy a book in this condition. But when I saw this book and I remembered it, I just snatched it up and I couldn't wait to get it home. So, thanks for watching. I appreciate everybody's support and comments and watching the videos and supporting the channel. And as always, I hope you liked the video. If you didn't, nothing I can do for you. Have a great night, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.